Hello friends, today we will discuss about press working operations. Press working operations, it is also called as sheet metal working operation. So in case of press working operations, we will see the form of the raw material used, the machine used, the tool setup required, and the actual tooling, that is punch and dies, are required to cut or form the parts. So in case of press working operation, the raw material, it is in the form of sheet metal. The sheets may be cut into different sizes, that is called as strips of the sheet. So these sheets are manufactured with the help of rolling process. You have studied this particular in the forming operation. So sheets are manufactured with the help of rolling process. So the machine, it is used in case of press working operation, it is nothing but a press. Presses are classified according to the source of the power, like mechanical presses, then hydraulic press, pneumatic press, or combination of the sources, mechanical hydraulic press or mechanical pneumatic press. So in case of mechanical presses are further classified according to the methods of actuation of slides. It may be crank type press, it may be eccentric type press, it may be friction screw type of press, knuckle joint type of press, toggle joint type of press. And these presses are further classified into single action press, where only one ram or only single slide it is used, double action press, where two slides are used, and triple action press, where three slides are used for the operation. Then the presses further classified according to frame: open type of frame, that is C frame, open back inclinable frames, as well as there is closed type of frame press. So the machines used, it is press in case of press working or sheet metal working operation. Now you can observe here the mechanical type of press. So here it is, you can observe A, the A, it is nothing but the bed of the press, where B, it is nothing but the ram of the press. So here it is C frame type of press, it is shown in the figure, right? So this type of machine, it is used for press working operation. This is mechanical type of press. Now you can observe here. So A, it is the bed of the press, it is the lower part of the press, and B, it is the ram of the press, which slides, which reciprocates. Then next, the next part, it is die set or the die die set. So that is, you can observe the various elements of the die set. A, it is the shank. B, it is called as punch holder or upper shoe. C, it is guide bushings. D, guide post, and E, it is die holder, and F, it is the slot that is required to fasten this die holder along with the tooling to the bed of the press. So here it is, the shank A may be the integral part of the punch holder, or it may be welded to the punch holder, or there may be a threading arrangement of this shank with the punch holder. So guide bush and guide post will serve as a guiding element for the punch and the die. So this is actually the tooling or press working parts. Now this is the ram. Ram, it is the part of the press. right? It slides, ram slides, or it reciprocates. The shank of the die holder or die set, it is fastened to the ram of the slide, right? The punch holder or upper shoe, guide post and guide bushings. So, and the tooling along with the backup plate, punch plate, and punch, it is fastened to the punch holder. So this tooling will reciprocates. So punch plate, backup plate, punch holder, and shank reciprocates along with the ram. Whereas to the bed of the press, the bolster plate it is fixed. To the bolster plate, die holder or lower shoe it is fixed. And to the die holder or lower shoe, the die block, stripper plate, and front gauge and back gauge, that is packings, are to be fixed. So this is fixed the lower part, that is stripper plate, packing, die block. It is this assembly, it is fastened to the die holder, and the complete assembly, lower assembly of the die set, that is die holder and guide post, it is fastened to the bed of the press directly, or there may be an intermediate plate that is called as bolster plate. Now the major elements of this particular tool. So here it is, you can observe the punch which will cut the sheet metal or form the sheet metal through the required shape. Then there is a die block. It will help to cut the sheet metal as well as to form the sheet metal. Then there is a packing, or there is a front gauge or back gauge that will guide the sheet metal along on the at the appropriate location. And stripper plate, the function of the stripper plate is to remove the strip from the punch during the operation. So, and the upper assembly, that is punches are retained in the punch plate, and this assembly it is to be backed up by the backup plate, right? So this is the actual assembly of the press tool. So you can observe here A, it is the A, you can observe on the press, that is bed. B, it is the ram. Then middle figure you can observe A, it is the shank, which is integral part of the punch holder or upper shoe. Here it is the guide bushings, guide post, die holder or lower shoe, and here it is the complete assembly. So you can observe this figure carefully. So ram it is here, you can observe the ram it is here, and the bed of the press, it is the part of the press. Then shank you can observe here, this shank it is to be fixed. Then you can observe the punch holder, here it is the punch holder. You can observe the guide post. Then you can observe the die holder or bolster plate, and this assembly, this total assembly, it is fixed, the shank it is fixed in the ram of the press, whereas the die holder it is fixed to the bed of the press directly, or there may be an intermediate plate, bolster plate you can use. Then next, so this is the actually assembly. So let us see the actual parts of the press tool. So you know the punch and die, these are two major important element that is required for the cutting or forming of the operation. So here it is, you can observe the punch it is there, blanking punch, and there may be a piercing punches, and there is a punch it is important one. Then there is a die block. So you can observe the die block. So this will actually these two parts, punch and die, will directly take part in the formation or cutting of the object or the sheet metal. So you can have the die holder. So lower part it is the die holder. On this die holder, the die block it is fastened. Front spacer it is fastened, front gauge. Here it is on the back side, back gauge it is to be fastened. Then stripper plate it is fastened over this. So this assembly it is die block, front gauge, back gauge plus stripper plate. It is to be fastened to the die holder. Then punch assembly, that is blanking punch and punch piercing punches are to be fastened to the punch holder. So piercing punches are to be retained. These piercing punches are to be retained in the punch plate. So upper assembly contains punch holder, punches, punch plate and backup plate, whereas lower die assembly contains die holder, die block, front gauge, back gauge and the stripper plate. Now the press working operations are classified actually in two categories: cutting operations and forming operations. So in cutting operations, the most important operation it is blanking, then punching, then perforating, shaving, trimming. These are the shearing operations or cutting operations, and other part that is called as forming operation. So forming operation contains bending. In bending, V bending, edge bending and channel bending or C bending or U bending. Then deep drawing. So drawing operation is there. So drawing it is nothing but to form a cup. So drawing, deep drawing, shallow drawing, moderate drawing. So these are the forming operation. So let us see the first operation, that is blanking operation. So you can observe here blanking operation. So you can observe the sheet metal. This is the sheet metal you can observe, and you are cutting a circular component. You are cutting a component from this. The part which is cut from the strip metal or sheet metal, that is the required one, is called as blank. Blank. So blanking involves shearing a piece out of the stock, that is of the from the strip to a predetermined contour, right? And the part it is required, the part which is cut out from the sheet metal, it is required, whereas the strip from which the part is cut, it is nothing but the scrap strip. Then next, punching operation or piercing operation. Punching involves the cutting of clean holes with resulting scrap slugs. So you can observe here the part in cutting operation, the strip, in the strip the required hole are to be punched, and the piece of that which is cut from the strip, that is called as scrap slug. You have observed in the paper punching, you are cutting the you are punching the holes in the paper, journal papers. So you observe the punch will cut these two holes, but the scrap, so these two holes in the paper it is required, whereas the part of that paper it is to be taken out, that is nothing but the scrap. Then slotting. Slotting is a punching operation in which a rectangular holes are to be cut. It is similar to punching operation. In punching operation, circular holes are to be cut, but in case of slotting, rectangular holes are to be cut, and the part which is cut out, it is a scrap, whereas the strip it is along with the slot, it is the required one. Perforating operation. Perforating is also a punching operation. It is used to punch many holes which are very close to each other. Smaller holes which are very close to each other are punched in the perforating operation. So it is used to punch many holes in a product with a specific pattern for decorative purposes or to permit the passage of light, gas or liquid. You have observed some in the chair how the perforated holes, right? So these perforated holes in the chairs, metallic chair, it is manufactured, are made, these holes are made with the help of perforating operation. Then notching and semi-notching operation. Notching is a cutting operation used for removing a piece of metal from the edge of the strip to a required blank. So this notching it is to be done on single edge of the strip or on both the edges of the strip. So this is nothing but the notching. Lancing. Lancing is a cutting along a line in the product without freeing the scrap from the product. It is performed using a progressive die operated on a press. Lancing cuts are necessary to create lowers which are formed in sheet metal for venting functions. So in case of lancing, the partially cut product is there. Partially it is cutting plus bending operation. So it is partially cut operation and you are forming the lower. So if you have observed the windows, metallic windows of the train, you can find such type of lowering process carried out on that particular windows. Trimming operation. So you can observe here the trimming. Trimming is the operation of cutting scrap of a fully or partially formed product to an established trim line. Now you can observe from this figure. So actually the component it is manufactured, trimming it is actually the secondary operation. Now you can observe here the trimming of the edges. If there are some defects on the edges of the sheet metal like wrinkles and other things, so irregular parts it is to be trimmed off from the parts. So it is actually secondary operation. So before trimming you are completing some forming operation and you are trimming the surface, to the required dimension. So this flange, so this part it is to be trimmed and you are getting the final component. Then parting. Parting is an operation that involves two cut-off operations to produce blanks from the strip. So you can observe here these are two lines, along with the part it is to be cut. Then next, so up to this we have studied the cutting operation, some cutting operations and or shearing operation. Now let us see the bending of forming operation. So bending it is one of the important forming operation. So you can observe here it is the punch, then die and then the sheet metal, that is the raw material. Bending is a process by which a straight length of the sheet metal is plastically deformed, that is permanently deformed to the curved length. Bending may further classified into categories. So in the figure V bending it is represented, but the bending it is classified bending, V bending, edge bending or U bending. Then embossing. So you can observe here embossing operation, something it is to be embossed on the sheet metal. So embossing is the process that produces relatively shallow indentation design with no change in the metallic thickness. So some indentation it is to be formed on the sheet metal. Then next, coining operation. Coining is used for sheet metal working as well as for bulk forming. During this operation, metal is intentionally thinned or thickened to achieve the required indentation or rest designs. Coining is widely used for lettering on sheet metal or components such as coins. So it is done in closed die in which all surfaces of the sheet metal are confined or restricted, resulting in a well-defined imprint of the die on the workpiece. Then let us see the different types of dies. Different types of dies. So dies are classified according to the operations: blanking die, forming die, punching die, bending die, drawing die. Now there may be some combination of two operations. Now in case of types of dies, we are having compound die in which two cutting operations are carried out simultaneously. So here in this figure you can observe blanking and punching, it is carried out simultaneously. Then next type of die, it is progressive die. Here cutting operations are cutting or in combination with forming. You can carry out this operation on progressive die. Now here it is the progressive die, it is shown to manufacture a washer. So in progressive die there are series of stations. So at each station the operation it is carried out. So you can observe here, so piercing operation is there and blanking operation is there. So at station 1 piercing die is there and piercing punch. So piercing operation is carried out, and at the second station blanking operation is carried out. So this arrangement it is for to manufacture a washer from the sheet metal. And in case of combination die, the cutting operation is combined with forming operation. So here blanking operation, it is combined with the drawing operation. So blanking, the blanking punch will cut the blank to the required size, whereas drawing punch will give the desired cup shape to the blank, which is already cut by the blanking punch. So this is about general introduction about the press working operation. Thank you.